Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Megan. On this channel I take books I've read and compare them to their on-screen adaptation. Usually that's movies, but I have done one that was turned into a TV show. So on this episode, I guess you would call it an episode, I am talking about New Moon. Where is the title on this? It doesn't even say it on the front. There's New Moon. I'll be talking about New Moon. So without any further ado, let's get started. So, before I get started, I got the book at the library and then I watched it a while ago. Freeform had them all on TV, all the Twilight movies, and I recorded it. So that's how I watched it. So some scenes might have been cut. I'm not sure how the TV adaptation of it worked, but this is me comparing it to Freeform's possibly edited version with commercials and all that. Okay, so it opened up, and I'm really glad that it included her dream from the beginning of the book. I really thought for sure that would be cut. The dream where she sees Gran and then she realizes it's her, and her fear of aging and stuff like that. So I'm glad that they included that. But then I was confused because Jacob was at her school on her birthday and gave her a dream catcher, and that just didn't happen at all in the book. I was caught off guard. And then they watch Romeo and Juliet in class rather than just Bella and Edward at her house. So in the book, they just watch it together after school. She kind of uses it as an excuse to not celebrate her birthday, and then ends up celebrating her birthday after it. But they just watch it in class in the book. And I know that doesn't seem like a huge difference, but they were talking about vampire stuff right in class. I get that they were whispering, but someone heard them. Come on. It made much more sense for them to be talking like that in the privacy of her house rather than in class. So that's just one little thing that bothered me about that. So when the Cullens leave town, it's much quicker in the movie. In the book, he's distant for a week, days on end, where he's not talking and he's brooding and he's thinking about it. So in the book, he's thinking about it for a long amount of time before he comes and tells her that they're leaving. In the movie, it's the very next day after the birthday party. She has her birthday party, she cuts her finger, he flings her onto the table, blah, blah, blah. Jasper wants to kill her. It's a big drama, right? And in the movie, it's the next day, he's we're leaving. And it was just very abrupt. But again, the pacing of a movie, this book was 560 pages, so of course there's going to be timing differences. And then when Sam found Bella, in the woods after Edward left, he was shirtless, and I get that he was just a werewolf or whatever, but I feel that's still creepy. If I'm Charlie, right, and my daughter's missing, and this guy says, I found her, and comes carrying her shirtless, I'd be you get your hands off her right now. That is so creepy to me. Why are you shirtless? I'm sorry. Okay, so in the movie, Bella's friends had never joined lunch tables with her and Edward like they did in the book. So when he leaves, she just sits alone at lunch. Pretty depressing. And then I was so shocked. So they went to, not La Push, Port Angeles, her and Jessica. And in the book and in the movie, Bella sees these creepy guys. She starts walking up to them so she can hear Edward's voice. But in the movie, she gets on the back of the dude's motorcycle. What? I was Bella. And then, side note, where's their protective eyewear? My dad has a motorcycle. You need goggles or sunglasses or something. You can't just be freewheeling it. So, inaccurate. And then she gets the motorcycles. She gets 2 motorcycles. In the book, she gets them. She's driving around aimlessly, and she finds this house with free motorcycles. In the movie, it's her next door neighbor. Very convenient. And then just cuts out that scene of her wandering aimlessly. She straight up tells Jacob she doesn't like music, which is annoying because in the book, it explicitly says she never told him that, and he just saw that in her, you know, he just noticed it about her, and it made him, I don't know, it made him seem more observant and like he cared more about her because he just noticed it on his own rather than her just being like, I don't like music, okay. Like that was just kind of lame. Okay, so her and Jacob are driving, and they see the dudes jumping off the cliff, the wolf pack that she doesn't know is a wolf pack. But she sees them from that distance, and she goes, is that Sam Yulee? How do you know that? In the book, she doesn't know that. She just says, who are those guys? But in the movie, she's like, is that Sam Yulee? And then also, they threw him off the cliff. That is not cliff jumping if you take someone's body and throw them over it. That was not cliff jumping. I disagree. And then Jacob never promised her that he would take her cliff jumping after that as well. Because she was like, ooh, I want to go. And he's like, ooh, I'll take you sometime, but not today. That conversation never happened in the movie. Okay. And then, so she started the motorcycle by herself with ease. And again, there's no protective eye gear. In the book, she couldn't start by herself. She needed Jacob's help. But she's a baddie now in the movie, I guess. And then Jacob, so they go on their little awkward, like, three-way hangout, Bella, Jacob, and Mike, and to the movies. And Mike gets sick, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, Jacob gets mad at Mike and, like, threatens to put him in the hospital. I'm so confused. Like, why? I get that, like, he's turning into a werewolf for the first time, but, like, that did not happen in the book. It was so off guard. I would, like, not be his friend. I'd be like, that was not cool, buddy. And then something else different between the movies and the books is that all the werewolves have this little tattoo on their shoulder in the movie, and that was never mentioned in the book. So she never enlisted Jacob to help finding her little meadow with Edward. And this part kind of irritates me because in the first movie, the scene that was supposed to take place in the meadow didn't really take place in a meadow. It took place like in the woods and there was like a spot of sunlight, but it wasn't like the meadow of the first book. So it just like had to throw in some random throwback scenes of them in this meadow to make it important to her. So that was kind of annoying because it was a place in the first book, this meadow, but it wasn't a place in the first movie. So anyway, she's looking for this meadow. In the book, she goes a few times to try to find it with Jacob, and in the movie, I wanted to say book, in the movie, she just goes by herself. I gotta go fast. I'm already at 8 minutes. Oh dear. We hear her thoughts, like her narration in the book, through her emails to Alice, which I think is a decent way to add narration. We know Alice never gets those emails, but it was still her way of like talking to her friend. And the movie showed the start of the fight between Laurent and the werewolves, whereas the book we're kind of in the dark as to how that fight went until much later on. But in the movie, you kind of see that the werewolves caught him and they were having some kind of fight, even though we don't know how it works, how it goes. But in the book, Bella's unsure if they can even catch him because vampires are so fast, blah, blah, blah. So that was just a little insight there. And then the scene when Jacob came to her room in the middle of the night made me crack up. What kind of parkour nonsense did he do to get in her room? He was supposed to be hanging from a tree, but he just like, poo, 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 poo. Like, it was crazy. I was cracking up. And then so she figures out that they're werewolves, and then she immediately confronts the wolf pack all alone. That did not happen in the book. I was like, what is she doing? And then she talks to, after that whole scene, and then, the one werewolf on Skitter, and Jacob turns into a werewolf, and then they're at Emily's house eating, and then finally, she's alone with Jacob talking about how Victoria is after her. Those conversations are completely flip-flopped. In the book, she talks to Jacob first, and then they go together to talk to the wolf pack, and then that's when the little scuffle happens. So just a little inconsistency there. And then, So I was very thrown off guard. I don't know if the third book explains this at all, but I did not know Victoria was responsible for Harry dying. Was that just something the movie made, or is that going to be the third book? I have no idea, but it just said he had a heart attack. The movie, she almost killed Charlie, and then instead she killed Harry, and I was like, what? And then I said, P.S. If the wolves are faster than the vampires, then how come they can't catch this chick? If you know, let me know. How did Jacob know she was cliff jumping when they never made those plans? In the book, they had plans to go cliff jumping, and he bailed, and she's like, screw it, I'm gonna do it by myself. But they never had those plans in the movie. She just kind of randomly decided to go cliff jumping. So my question is, how did he know to be there and to save her if he didn't know she was going to be there? Makes no sense. Oh, okay. There were no scenes of Alice and Bella on the plane discussing Edward's ever-changing plans. And it just kind of shows us the Volturi telling Edward their decision rather than us hearing it through Alice's vision. Sorry, goodness. When Edward first sees Bella in Voltura, he's like in some weird building thing, which in the books he was in an alley. So when Alice comes in and she's like, let's not make a scene, it makes sense because people are staring at them because they're in an alley. But they're literally in this empty building. So how are you going to make a scene if you're in an empty building? Like, that didn't even make sense. She's like, let's not make a scene for the 0 people around. And then in the books, at first, he thinks his plan worked and he's dead. And he's like, oh, it worked. Like, it happened so fast. But in the movies, like, it just skips that. He's like, oh my God, you're alive. And I'm like, meh. And then they reconnect and, like, solve all their issues before they even see the Volturi at all, which is annoying. They kiss, they made up. He's like, you believe me. This all happened after the fact. So, again, flip-flopping stuff. Like, why not just do it in order? You like the book, you want to make it into a movie, then follow the freaking book. And then they fought the Volturi. I was shocked, y'all. That absolutely 100% did not happen in the book. I guess they just want to make it more cinematic or something, but I don't know. It was just like, I guess if I hadn't read the books, I'd be like, ooh, okay. But since I read the books, I was like, what is happening? Like, it was just that cool. And then Bella returns home and Charlie comes to talk to her in the middle of the night or whatever, and he doesn't even seem mad, which is annoying. These people have no personalities. But yeah, so they just talk like normal, and then he says you're grounded like forever or something. I'm like, that's not even a real punishment. Like, everyone knows if you say you're grounded till the end of time, like, that's not real. That's stupid. You should have said for 2 months or something, and I would have been like, okay, he's mad. But forever, that means he's not mad. And then I thought it was funny because Jasper explained his reasoning for saying yes to Bella becoming a vampire. He said it's because he wouldn't be tempted to kill her anymore. I thought that was funny. In the book, it just said he said yes, and she was shocked. She wasn't expecting it. And then I said, bro, Jacob straight up wolfed and was going after Edward. Their little conversation in the woods after. Like, he was going to go after him. That didn't happen in the book either. And then, so my last bullet is a lot of points. I'm going to start with the last one. I don't know why I put all these things under one bullet point. So Jacob in the book brought the motorcycle to Charlie's house to get Bella in trouble so that she couldn't see Edward anymore. And that just didn't happen at all in the movie, which boo. And then I'm gasped when in the book, she pulled up and she saw the motorcycle. I was like, oh, that jerk. And then I was waiting for it in the movie and it never happened. So that was lame. But then the ending, oh my God. First of all, let me just say these books were so boring, and that was literally the only time I gasped reading the whole thing, so I don't think I'm reading it in like every 5 seconds because it's really boring. And the fact that she saw a motorcycle and it made me gasp, just showed, like, that's the only thing that made me gasp the whole movie. The whole book. So that just shows how kind of lame it was. But anyway, the end. Edward asks Bella, he says, wait, hold on, I'm just going to act it out for y'all because it's so bad. He goes, I have one, what is it? He's like, one stipulation or something, turning her into a vampire, something like that. She's like, what is it? He goes, marry me. And she goes like this. And then it ends. What? What kind of lame? Oh my God, I was so mad. In the book, he asked her to marry him, and they talked about it, and there was a conversation, and it wasn't that shocking. Like, I don't know why they chose to end it there. That was not the end of the book. Like, that was so lame. And then I just want to say one final thing that made me mad for the whole dang movie, because they have no personalities. My husband was in the room watching just the end with me. Well, he wasn't watching. He was like on his phone. But he's like, dude, why are these people all just talking so monotone? I'm like, I don't even know, man. Like, I'm so over it. I wanted to fast forward. I was so mad. So yeah, that's my differences between New Moon, the book, and New Moon, the movie. Next week, I am taking a break from Twilight because these books are killing me. And because I heard Artemis Fowl is coming on Disney Plus next Friday. So I'm going to do Artemis Fowl next weekend. I'm going to reread it. So stay tuned if you want to see that. And then the following week, I'll do Eclipse. Wow. But stay tuned.